Cool. So today, briefly, we're going to roll through how to comp a property. We're up here on the MLS. A couple other websites and plugins I like to utilize when taking a look at a home. I typically like to first look at Property Radar just to double check square footage and I think what's going to be on tax records. So I have another tab here for Property Radar. Let's pull it up. And today we're going to be comping a property on, let's see here, 5155 Boca Place. This is one of our flips. So first, I'm going to go ahead and any property, I'm just going to go ahead and take a look on Property Radar and just pull up this property and take a look at tax record. So this one right here, it's a 4-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,344 square feet, 6,400 square foot lot size. Now if you zoom in here, take a look at this lot. It's on the corner. We take a look at how the property's situated. A little bit funky. It's a little bit less usable because you have like a side yard and a backyard, but still I don't think it'll matter too much in this neighborhood. Take a look at some other characteristics quickly. See if there's anything of relevance. What are some of the things I'm looking for? Specifically on Property Radar is, I know it's loading right here, but this zoning, okay? This is listed as R1, meaning this is single family residential. Now, accessory dwelling units are possible for upside potential. This lot wouldn't fit that mold due to its size, but it's something I'm looking for. If this was like RM2-5, which is more residential multifamily, you might be able to get more value on a resale because someone might be able to come in and develop land. Especially with the property that maybe needs work, it could be a tear down, okay? Checking the year built, okay? I'm gonna write these things down. So I'm writing down on my paper just for time purposes, 4-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,344 square feet, R1, built in 1954, okay? 2-car garage. These things are very important when you're trying to find comparable homes, okay? Obviously this website also has a market analysis estimate. Their estimate is 541. Okay, but we'll see what we take a look at when we take a look at these comps. Also in Property Radar, and I have a full other training on Property Radar, it shows some of the comparable sales already right here. So I'll just leave this tab to the side. Let's go back to the MLS. So this is the listing right here. It's a pending listing. Okay, let's just go ahead and let's just figure out, how can we figure out what this property should sell for if we were to list this home, okay? I'll give you a quick rundown on its current condition. We'll take a look at some photos. So, great photography from the outside, 2-car garage, very clean, curb appeal, fully renovated. As you can tell, brand new, just about everything in this home. New windows, doors, flooring, paint, kitchen, appliances, cabinetry, everything here is fully renovated. So you're gonna be selling at the top of the market in this area. Okay, so these are some of the photographs. Now, if this property had deferred maintenance or it wasn't fully renovated, maybe it was renovated back in 2000, 15, 20 years ago, right? I'm gonna factor these things in to my end sales price, but for now, we're gonna be comping a property that's gonna be selling at the top of the market. Okay, and so let's jump back in. How do we do this? So I like to go to the search residential tab. This is what's already pulled up. So it's not just a quick search, it has a bunch of additional criteria here. If I ever want to customize any of these fields, I go to customize fields and I can add in certain things. So let's say I want to add in baths full, okay? I can add that in and I can have a minimum, maximum type range. Let's say I want to do fireplaces. There's a yes, no feature. Maybe I want to figure out who the listing agent is or who the listing firm is. I can go ahead and do that and I can search in the MLS and find these things. What other ones are of value? You can play around on here, but there's a lot of good criteria that you can go ahead and search and filter through, okay? We already have what we need here on this standard page. I've done some additional filters myself. And what's the first thing I'm gonna do? I'm gonna go ahead and go to a map search. So again, I'll just show you one more time. It's this little globe here with the search icon. I'm gonna click on this and it's gonna pull up a map. Okay, this is where the MLS thinks I'm at. And I'm gonna go ahead and move this to 5155 Boca Place, and that's San Diego, 9215. Enter, and it's gonna drag my map out here. Okay, This is a hybrid view. If I just want to look at a road view that's less cumbersome, I can change it right here. A little bit easier to take a look at. But you can also go aerial view, and this is the hybrid. It shows also the street names with as an overlay to the actual aerial view. I like the road view. Personally, it's a little bit easier for me to take a look at what streets are where. So in common property, what I'm looking for is I'm looking to find properties that are typically within a mile or less. Now, if I'm in a rural area, you typically might need to go a little bit further out. So if you're in Vista, up in the hills of Vista, you might need to go 2 miles out to find good comparables, depending on what type of home it is. There might not be a lot of good comparable sales, but for this area, this is this is standard suburban area, around college area, density. I mean, it's mostly single family homes. It has some multifamily here as well, but this is a pretty condensed area, so I don't need to go much further than 3/4 of a mile or more. Now, I also know this area specifically, there's a big difference between being very close to the campus and being just outside of it, because there is the element of student like mini dorms, right? So they're gonna be selling differently because it's a different type of end buyer. Instead of being a normal consumer or a family that's moving in, you're gonna have more of an investor that's going to be buying a home and then renting it out, right? So this area, I'm gonna go ahead and start to take a look at the streets. One thing you can do is you hit this draw icon here, and I can pull a radius, I can do a rubber band, I can do a polygon. I typically like to start with the radius and just pull this thing out and find a nice little diameter around this property. Now, notice here, I did this on purpose, this overlay of this radius, this circle, it goes over the freeway here, and it also goes past 70th Street. As you can tell, 70th Street looks like, and it really is, a very busy street. You don't want to do comparables if you don't have to across busy roads. The reason for that is it could be a completely different market. Especially in San Diego, there's some freeways, you jump across the 805 in some neighborhoods, completely different, okay? In this example, it is different. It's still semi-close, but it is a different type of neighborhood. So this would be considered college area, and this up here, you're in Del Cerro, so it's just, you can't use it as a comparable. And so what I'll do is I do this original overlay. I might decide, you know what, let's not do that. Let's go ahead and get rid of that. Let's draw a polygon instead. I can even draw multiple shapes at once and then delete one later. This is good if I'm looking at, like, I want a square mile out, but then I want to extract certain streets or roads. I can then draw the polygon in between these shapes. So I'm going to start drawing this here, and I'm going to draw around 70th and the 8th freeway, and also El Cajon Boulevard. Okay, and then I'm going to just draw it around this circle here, and then connect it at its original point. And now I have a second layer. I'm gonna go ahead and edit, and what do I want to do? I want to get rid of this circle here. And so this is my comp area, and we're gonna see if there's enough sufficient comps in this small pocket, because this is the exact neighborhood here. Okay, and then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna hit add to criteria. So that's my first filter. I have the geolocation thrown in. Now what I'm gonna take a look at. So obviously we're 1,344 square feet. The next most important criteria is going to be square footage. Okay, it's not, I know what some people might think it's bedroom, bathroom. It's actually square footage is going to be a little bit more correlated to figuring out end price, but we will factor in bedroom, bathrooms later. So 1,344 square feet. How do I figure out how much above and beyond I want to go above 1,344? Well, what appraisers look at is anything that's 20% higher or lower on square footage can act as a viable comparable. So most of these properties are being purchased with conventional financing, FHA, VA type loans, which means it's subject to appraisal. Most properties, even with hard money or cash, will get appraisals done. However, in appraisals, especially with a loan involved, it's got to be in that same 20% more or less area for valuation. So I go to this estimated square feet here. So I'm going to go to a minimum, and I'm just going to go off the top of that. 20% less of 1,344, so it's 260 square foot less. So I'm looking at like 1,050 square feet, and the max, I'm adding another 260 to it. So I'm looking at a maximum of 1,600 square feet. Okay. And if I get a ton of comparables in between this 1050 to 1600 range, I'm going to start to condense the square footage down further so you can find the best possible comparables. So right now, just on active and back on market, you can see this number up here, 7. What this is the actual number of active and back on market properties that are listed for sale. This is very important. So if an area is very impacted and there's not a lot of inventory and there's low, shows up as a low number, it means that prices could be going up. Not necessarily, but it means prices could be up because there's just not a lot of inventory available in that market. If this number was say like 25 in this small radius, that means that there's way too much inventory and it might actually be harder to sell this type of property. So this is just a quick little blurb on, figuring out what's the current active inventory, and we'll take a look at it here in a second. If I'm looking for actual comparable sales, what I want to do next, okay? I want to take a look at what was sold in the last typically 6 months. If you're in a fast-changing market, which we currently are due to interest rates, I actually really only want to see anything that's been sold the last 90 days. But for intensive purposes, I'm going to go ahead and just look at close of escrow date. I'm going to hit this date range function here. Oops, first I got to change this to take a look at solds. So I'll throw in contingent pending and sold. Once I have sold up here signified, I can take this close of escrow range and I can go 6 months back. Let's just see how many it pulls up. So there's 26. So this is a decent amount of properties to take a look at. Probably a little bit cumbersome for me, so I probably want to narrow this down. Let's just take a look at what 90 days back looks like. So 15 homes, 7 of them were active or back on market. There's probably a handful of pending. Okay, let's just take a quick view and see what this brings up. Okay, so actives are going to be a top, pending, than solds. I'm more interested right now in the sold properties. Right out of the gates, what am I seeing? Okay, you see this here, it's signified as a townhome, and attached, and attached, and attached. I need to get rid of this out of my search criteria, which means I need to go back over here. And then residential styles, okay, hit the little search bar. I'm only going to select detached because our home is a detached home. I can't compare it against an apartment unit or a condo unit or some type of multifamily or townhome. Okay, so now obviously our results went way down to 6. So I need to actually bring this 90 days back up to 6 months. Okay, and now there's 11 properties. Let's go ahead and take a look here now. Okay, interesting. So the first thing that comes to mind is the first sold property listed here is on Bocaw Place at the same street, and it's listed for $499. Let's pull it up. It's listed for $499. It's days on market. It's listed right up here. What's highlighted, days on market MLS, and market time is 9 days. It sold above listed price for $516,000. Okay, it was listed originally on August 2nd, 2018. I know because of how the market shifted with interest rates, there was a small decline due to a rise in interest rates. So I'm going to have to probably factor that in. But if you're in a neutral market, factor it in if you're in an appreciating market. You might be able to get a little bit more value for your property on a resale if prices are continuing to go up. We know that there was a small adjustment from this period in time, so we're going to want to adjust downward. So this is a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,359 square feet, also built in 1954. So basically this was built the same year as our property, and it probably has just a slightly different floor plan as it's a 3-bedroom versus a 2-bedroom. So let's take a look at condition. So I'm going to quickly scan through photos. To me, this looks like it needs a facelift, a cosmetic lift. It looks like they did some improvements probably in the early 2000s. You got your granite. The cabinetry looks like it's in good condition and reusable, but it's got the older appliances, wood floors. The paint is a little sporadic. I think they could do a better job repainting the home. But it's got a nice big 2-car garage. Looks like a decent sized lot, and it also looks like it has some privacy and even some views. So these are the things that I'm going to be looking at when I'm taking a look at the property. So I'm going to mark it down on condition, but I also think the lot might be superior. And for someone to move in here, it's usable. The floors look nice. It just really needs to be repainted and freshened up. And then if you wanted to, you could do a remodel on your countertops and appliances and that type of thing and bring it up to speed. And so this property sold for $516,000 at a sale price of just under $380 a square foot. So I'll just take note of that. It's $380 a square foot. This property address is 5294. It's on the same street. Sold for $516,000. Condition, I'm looking at this thing. It's probably $40,000, $50,000 less due to condition, just based off of valuation. How an appraiser is going to look at it, they're going to be doing a grading system, which we won't get into today. So that's the first comp. Let's go ahead and take a look at another couple properties here. So Saranac Street. I know this is the same neighborhood. It's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,333 square feet, also built in 1954, College area east. Okay. If you look at the street, it's also looks like it might be close to the corner lot. It's kind of on a bend, so similar. Lot size is listed down here. Our lot size is 6,400. This one's a little bit larger at 7,143, but pretty negligible, 700 square feet. Also 2-car garage, really nice curb appeal. Okay. It looks like more of a 2010 type remodel, so it's been remodeled, just not super recently. Some funky pictures here. I don't know who listed this property, but the outside photo looks good at least. Help bring people in. So this property sold for $545,000. So this is Saranac. Okay, it's a 3.2, 1333 square feet. Sold for $545,000. Okay, and it's sold at $408 a square foot. I'd argue that it has a better lot just due to positioning. It's more usable in the backyard, as you can see here in the small photo. It has more space. Ours is kind of like on a funky corner lot, so it's kind of side yard and backyard. But the condition on our subject property on Bocaw is going to be in better condition. It's been more recently remodeled. The pictures look better, the listing's better. And this property sold in 10 days on the MLS, 25 days market time. So it probably went on market and came back off. Filed escrow, sold for $545,000. So right now, as I'm looking at this property, I'm going to go ahead and value Bocaw both more than the first property that sold on Bocaw for $516,000, and also more than this property on Saranac. So let's take a look at a few more comparables. Here's another one on Bocaw, 5284 Bocaw. This one sold for $517,000, $500,000. Take a look at the photos here. This one looks to be in better condition than both the first two. It presents well, there's good photography. It's got a patio cover. It's got a pretty nice lot here. Let's see when this thing was sold. This thing was sold on the 1st of October. So this is a good comparable. This is kind of when the downswing in prices was happening. It's interesting, they had listed this property for $540,000, originally $549,000 actually, and it was sold for $517,000, $500,000. So this sale makes me feel like the value on this listing on Bocaw should come down. All right, Alumni Place, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,541 square feet. So there's a 3-bed, 2-bath, 1,541. Taking a look at condition. And this property needs quite a bit of work. Very dated. Very dated. Clean, but very dated. Okay. What's interesting is this property sold for $582,000. It did sell in the end of August. It's a little bit larger in square feet, but it is only 3 bedrooms. Has a good agent that sold it. And the lot size is a little bit larger, 8,500 square feet. So, 2-car garage. Let's take a look at the lot here in the map view. Okay, good sized lot. There is the ability with this property to drop an accessory dwelling unit. That might be why they got a little bit higher price. But what's great for us, if we're listing our property on Bocaw, this sale, did sell for $582,000. Okay. This specific buyer must have saw an additional value probably in the lot. Otherwise, I can't quite explain why it sold for that much more than the other properties on the neighboring streets. Okay, but it's great for our comparables. It is a little bit larger, 1,541 square feet. Our subject property is closer to, it's at 1,344 square feet, so it's about 200 square feet less. Here's what's interesting though, all of these comparables, not one of them is a 4-bedroom, okay? And let's take a look at some active comps, just to see what else on the market that's selling or not selling. So this is brand new on market, so we don't know if there's offers in on this place yet. This is on Saranac. This is a 3 optional 4, 1.5 baths, 1,600 square feet. It's listed for $490. Looks like the pictures aren't very great and very dark. It looks like it needs quite a bit of work. So it doesn't do much value because it's not in the same condition. We have another 3-bedroom, 2-bath on market for $629,000. Let's see what's going on here. This seems like a stretch. So this is a full remodel. It's listed very high, 629,000. Let's see if there's anything unique with this property. Yeah, I'm not seeing it. This property, it's listed at 477 a square foot. I think it's overpriced significantly. I don't think it'll sell. But then again, maybe I'm missing something here. 7,800 square foot lot. It does have a superior lot to the subject property on Boca, but I do believe it's overpriced. So it's not going to give us much information because it'll probably sit on market for quite some time. We have another one on 67th. That's listed at 496 a square foot. Again, this is a Craftsman. It's a remodel Craftsman. Craftsman and certain types of build type Spanish Craftsman, rather than ranch style homes, tend to sell a little bit better. They're more preferred within buyers. They think they're kind of a cuter type home. You see quite a bit of these through Central San Diego. So that's one reason for valuation. It is clean. It's owner occupied. It's got a nice backyard for entertaining. So this property makes a little bit more sense on why they have this list price, but I still believe it's overpriced at $659,000 in this same neighborhood. However, this is going to be good for finding a list price for the subject property on Boca, because the buyers are going to take a look at this market and they're going to see two sales going for $629,000 and $659,000 respectively, and they're the same square footage, in just slightly better lots, and the condition on Boca is actually superior to both of them. So I think it'll give you a little bit of additional value in placing it against the current market, and you might find a buyer that'll see more value at a lower price point, even though it might be higher than some of the sale comparables. So what are we going after here? So we have a $582,000 sale on Alumni Place, which is down here. We have a $545,000 sale on Saranac, okay? And then also we have a couple on Boca at 516 and 517. In this area, I'm basically going to take an average and then adjust off of these comparables. The best thing to do in this scenario is to price it somewhere in that range for time-intensive purposes. We're going to cut this video here shortly, but the value range I would probably put Boca at, I imagine this is what it's listed at, is probably somewhere between 549 upwards of 579 would be a range. And I think it would sell right around that area, probably toward the top of the range. Let's see what it is listed for, because we do have it on market. It is right here. And it's listed for 565. So yeah, it's exactly in the range of what we were looking at. Actually, that might be the wrong one. This is the right one. Yep, 549 to 599. So it's exactly in the range that we kind of estimated based on these other sales. Knowing this property is pending, the offer is in at 575, so it's right in that exact range. So that's how you kind of come up with a valuation. That's how you filter everything out. It's how you adjust based on active comparables, what's sold, which is actually the most important thing. And you got to adjust for things like bedroom, bathroom, condition, lot size, and functionality. Two-car garage. If this property didn't have a two-car garage, it'd probably lose $30,000 or more in value. Some neighborhoods more so than others. Some properties just don't sell if they don't have a two-car garage. Views would play a big role, but this was a fairly easy property to comp. It's a pretty standard neighborhood, all built in the same more or less time period. There was a couple of 1920s sales or year builds, but for the most part built in the mid-50s and ranch style homes, and it's fairly easy to do comparables on this one.